A powerful low pressure system will drench and batter parts of New South Wales and Victoria in the coming week. Today is Sunday the 29th of June. This is a severe weather update from the Bureau of Meteorology. Let's dive into it. And the first thing I wanted to show you is the difference in pressure that we'll be seeing over the next few days. This map has got high pressure in red and low pressure in blue. And at the moment across the east, relatively high pressure is what we're seeing. But watch out for this tongue of lower pressure to build near the New South Wales coast on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday this low pressure area intensifies, becomes larger, stronger, more powerful, and that is going to be our significant weather system for the middle of this week. So how is that actually going to look in terms of what it does to the weather? Well, for that we'll go day by day through the rainfall, starting on Monday, which is of course tomorrow. Now there'll already be a bit of rain near the east coast on Monday morning, mostly across Queensland, but as we zoom in and get towards the end of the day, we're going to start to see some heavier falls building around this developing low pressure area here. So at first the rain is likely to build across the northern rivers, the mid-north coast, and up into northern parts of the tablelands too. But it's really Tuesday where this system becomes much more powerful and intensifies strongly. So we'll watch two things happen on Tuesday. Firstly, everything starts to move south, so it becomes the central and the southern New South Wales coast to cop the brunt of this low pressure area. And secondly, it just gets stronger. The wind gets stronger, the rain gets heavier, everything gets more powerful. And by the end of the day, we can see quite persistent falls as well as very strong winds across the coast from about Port Macquarie southwards and into eastern parts of Victoria as well. Wednesday will continue to be wet for these areas in the southeast, so it's really a couple of days of quite persistent rainfall for central and southern parts of New South Wales as well as the east of Victoria, and we could see some reasonable accumulations compile over that time. So we're going to look at rainfall accumulations between Monday and Wednesday here on the map, and most of that rainfall coming in through Tuesday and Wednesday. It's approximately 48 hours where it will rain quite heavily for some areas. So look at the dark reds and the purples on the map here. In fact, we'll drop the names off and zoom in a little bit so we can see where the heaviest falls are likely to occur. We are going to be seeing some reasonably significant falls across the eastern side of the New South Wales coast from around about the far south of the mid-north coast across the eastern Hunter, Sydney, the Illawarra and the south coast, and then right through Gippsland. 1 to 200 millimetres possible through these areas over 48 hours, and I expect some locations will pick up even more than that. That's quite a lot of rainfall and will be enough to cause some significant impacts, including the risk of riverine flooding through parts of New South Wales. We could see some of those river levels climb to minor or even moderate flood levels. Do keep a watch out for flood watches and warnings in the next few days. But even away from rivers, we could see flash flooding, which is just where the rainfall overwhelms any chance of drainage, and we could see flooding anywhere. That can mean inundation of homes, properties, businesses, roads and streets, and of course that can lead to dangerous driving conditions, not just from water on the road, but poor visibility and poor grip during times of heavy rain as well. I've talked a lot about the rainfall so far, but I have to mention the wind because that's another major part of this weather event. On Tuesday morning, not much wind to speak of, but once this low starts to intensify later on Tuesday, we'll see some very strong winds, initially developing around the central coast of New South Wales. Think Illawarra, Sydney, Newcastle and the Hunter area for very strong winds on Tuesday, but that wind is going to stretch out much further than that as we play through Tuesday night into Wednesday. Even parts of southern Queensland and northern New South Wales get some very strong winds during Wednesday, as do some parts of eastern Victoria. So almost anywhere along the eastern seaboard from about Melbourne up to Brisbane, chances are you're getting a battering of strong winds at some stage this week. Those winds will be one of the key reasons why we also see hazardous conditions on the water. They will whip up some very large waves during Tuesday and Wednesday, potential for 5 to 7 metre waves along the New South Wales coast during the middle of this week. Parts of eastern Victoria will also be subject to those very large waves, and the wind and the waves, they will have their own set of significant weather impacts for the coming few days, including the risk of damage to trees and property. We could see scenes like this being repeated, particularly where the wind blows over wet soil. That can lead to power outages as well if those trees damage power lines, and of course watch out for dangerous conditions on the water as well as the chance of coastal erosion where those big waves hammer into the coastline. I would like to finish by saying, when is this going to wrap up? Tuesday, Wednesday, those are our worst days. But on Thursday, the main low is going to gradually pull away to the east. So the wind, the waves and the rain will all be relaxing back during Thursday. And by Friday, it's a much more settled weather picture across southeastern parts of Australia. Stay up to date with weather and warnings through the week ahead. They can all be found on the Bureau's website, and you can follow us on social media as well. Thanks for watching and have a great day.